All right, so I don't know if anybody's ever had this experience before. Back in 2018, I was recording an album, and I was going to BeatStars to find, this is before I got real deep into production, and I was just looking for tracks I could record to. And there were a couple that I downloaded and tried to record to, but I found it really hard to mix. I felt like there wasn't any room for the vocals. I couldn't figure out how to get the vocals to sound clear without just drowning it, like turning the volume up too much, right? And then you lose all the integrity of the track, you lose the punch and lose all of that. So I just wanted to put a quick tutorial together, talk about mixing a track with room for vocals, and it's actually easier than you think it is. So if you just give me the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you an easy, simple concept that you can use to make sure that when you create a track for artists, you're leaving room for those vocals. Now, if you'd like a free step-by-step video on how to create your first professional track or a professional track in just 2 hours using only a low-cost DAW and some free stuff you can find on the internet, just type the word yes in the comments and I will DM that over to you. So my name is Jason Dowdy. I've been an artist and producer for over 20 years, and I've worked with people like Timbaland and Aaliyah, and I've kind of made it my mission and my goal to help artists produce for themselves so they can take their career to that next level. So let's get into it. Let's talk about mixing. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. And I have a mixing guide, and I am by no means a graphic designer. It's a pretty ugly guide, but it's the best way that I know how to show you a framework that you can use when you're mixing your track without overcomplicating it, right? I know it looks complicated, but this is actually easier than you think it is. So if you look at the bottom, we have basically the human ear can hear, anywhere from 50 hertz to 20 kilohertz, somewhere in that range, right? And the 50 hertz, that's where you hear your rumble or your solid. So I put kind of the positive words on the left. So, solid is a positive word. Rumble is maybe something bad that you don't want in your mix, right? Just to give you an idea of the frequency ranges of each type of sound. 100 is either thump or it might be boomy, especially like vocals. If you got a lot of boom in your vocals, you don't want that. You want them to be clear and present. 250 hertz is, that's where your thickness comes in, or boxy. 500 hertz, warm or muddy. 1K is presence, or it can be biting. But for the most part, the 1K range is pretty pleasant, and that's where you want your vocals to live. And then 3K is definition or harsh. 5K is attack or strident. Actually, I find, I know I put sibilant up here at the 10K mark, but I find a lot of sibilants more in the 5 to 6K range if you're trying to de-ess the vocals and get that sound out of it. That's normally around that range, actually. 10K is bright and strident. Again, I think, there's more, I think of it more as air. So air anywhere from 10K up in that range. Putting a shine on things, that's in that range. But that's also, you could call it brittle, as something you don't want in your track, right? So those are the frequency ranges. So hopefully that kind of helps you understand, put sounds that make sense into the numbers that are shown on your equalizer. All right. Now, instrument-wise, so you can see I put a little person singing right here in the middle. Anywhere from the 500 hertz range up to the 5 kilohertz range. That's where the vocals need to live, and it needs to live in the center of the track. So as you can see, I've kind of added the instruments and panned them more right or left based on, the left channel or the right channel based on the frequency range. So a general rule that you might want to use is the higher it's going, the more you want to pan it out. And that will create plenty of room for not only the vocals, but I've also got little people right here for your background vocals, or, your if you're creating like a parallel compression or something like that, and you're panning it to the sides as well. All right, so your 808, I put a little sub bass speaker right here, lives right in the middle with your kick. You want a clear space in your mix for those. Over here, you've got like some perks, some percussion, some toms. Your keys live kind of in this 500 hertz, 250 to 500 hertz range. Obviously, any of these instruments take up a lot more of the spectrum, but that's kind of where you want it to live in the track. So you may want to cut off a little, the bottom, cut out some of the top, and really enhance that range for those particular instruments. I've got guitars to the side in the 1K range. That's also true for plucks. Any of those percussive instrument sounds, like a mallet, anything like that. I put a picture of a lily pad up here because I didn't have a good picture for a pad. But, especially your higher pads, you want to live in the higher range. You want to kind of pan those out and make those a nice wide signal to leave room for the vocals. And that goes with your higher strings as well. So that's just a brief explanation, a simplified version of mixing, but still leaving room for the vocals. I hope this helped you out. Anybody out there who's maybe struggled like I did finding tracks where, it seems like the instruments are just covering up the vocals and you can't find space for the vocal. If you're producing and you're trying to create room for the vocals, hopefully this little tutorial has been helpful to you. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen real quick. There we go. All right, so just a reminder, if you would like a free step-by-step video and guide on how to create an amazing track in just 2 hours using just a low-price DAW and free stuff you can find on the internet, just go ahead and type the word YES, Y-E-S, right there in the comments, and then I will DM you and I'll send it over to you. But until then, keep creating.